Hello, everyone. Again, this is Ethan Shapiro, the climate change realtor with Coldwell Banker, founder and manager of the most innovative real estate sales company, here for another episode of Changing the Climate. I am very lucky to have my guest, Mr. Joshua Onysko. Joshua is the founder and CEO of Pangea Organics, a skin and body care company recognized for its leadership in creating premium quality formulations born from the marriage of pure ingredients and high integrity sourcing. Joshua, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
Cool. Do you want to just start by giving us a little background about who you are and how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah, I've been in the skincare, health, and well-being space for about 20 years. I started making bar soap here in Boulder, Colorado 20 years ago, built a pretty large organic bar soap factory, and then got into skin and body care formulation, and really just set out to kind of be a pivotal change in how we look at the things that we put on in our body, and sourcing organic ingredients, but also really focusing on the efficacy of how we can use organic ingredients to improve our overall well-being.
Cool. So what made you want to change the industry? Do you think there were some problems with it before you got into there? Or I'm sure there's always problems, but yeah.
There's always problems. When I got into the industry, I started looking at what was on the market and realized the vast majority of things that people are buying to put on their body are highly toxic. And so a lot of people think, well, I buy all my stuff at, X, Y, and Z stores. It's all natural. But the reality is, even if you think you're buying all natural products, you're putting on dozens of chemicals that are known to be carcinogenic on your body daily. And these add up. One product might have 4 ingredients, but I think the average American uses 14 products a day, and that's average. Some people use far more than that. And when you talk to people, they're usually like, well, I'm a pretty simple person and I only use a couple products. I'm like, well, you took a shower, you brush your teeth, you shampoo, you use deodorant, you maybe use a fragrance, blah, 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 blah. And by the time I go through a regimen with someone who's quote unquote simple, I've counted up, 40, 50 chemicals that they're putting on their body a day. And those are just what's listed on the ingredients. 70% of companies actually don't list all of their ingredients on the INCI, which is the international nomenclature for cosmetic ingredients. That's the ingredient panel on the back of products you're using.
Yeah. How did you first get interested in this stuff? Is there some sort of personal connection?
I dropped out of school when I was 15 and started working and traveling around the world. And before I was moving to India in 1999, I went home to visit my mother, who was convinced I was never coming back. And she had bought a coffee table book on how to make handmade soap. And I didn't know what soap was made out of. And I went out and bought all the ingredients and surprised her and made a batch of soap. And I ended up traveling for 2 years. And after 2 years, I realized I wanted to start a company. And I really liked the idea of making something that is useful, especially during these times of being in a pandemic.
Sure.
People have realized how important a simple thing like soap is.
100%.
And, I've been saying for the past 6 months that finally people are washing their hands, because most people just don't wash their hands. You go into a public restroom.
That's hard for me to believe.
Yeah. I mean, pre-pandemic, you go into a public restroom at, a grocery store or an airport, and 50% of guys don't wash their hands.
Wow. I guess I'm definitely not one of them.
Yeah. As a soap maker, you just become very aware of how horrible our hygiene is. And so It's been great to see that people are finally recognizing the importance of good hand hygiene.
No kidding. So you mentioned that there's a lot of harsh chemicals in the products we use. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of like cost effectiveness, or just because I really don't know much about this area at all. Why are there harmful chemicals being sold to people consistently?
Yeah, it's definitely because of cost. So in the 1950s, The first synthetic surfactants were created at Procter and Gamble, like sodium sulfate, cocamidol propylbutane, cocamide DEA, and these surfactants replaced soap. So soap is made from saponifying fats with an alkali. So modern day times, it's usually plant fats and sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, and that creates a saponification process. But when you're using plant oils, it's definitely several times more expensive than synthesizing a surfactant. And a
Mm-hmm.
surfactant is just a surface active agent. So it's an elongated acronym, and it's what foams up and lifts dirt and oil and germs and bacteria off your skin and washes it down the drain. But the reality is, if you think about synthetic surfactants, that they're not only toxic for us, they're extremely toxic for the environment because it's just destroying the safety of our water. Millions and billions of people using synthetic surfactants a day, and it goes into the drain, which
Oh
inevitably ends
God.
up in our earth.
Where did your interest for planetary health kind of originate, or how did you kind of figure out that you wanted to be a cause for good when it comes to this kind of stuff?
I think early on when I first started creating soaps, it was more about creating innovative, good smelling products that were just felt
Yep.
good. And after the first few years, when I really got into the industry, I realized how toxic it was. And I was like, okay, I can actually create innovative products that smell good, but there's a need for transparency in our industry. People, 20 years later, even though people think the natural organic body care industry is big, it's actually like tiny, tiny, because most people are using products they think are safe and they think are natural because of the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Brands do a really amazing job of making the packaging just make the natural green
Like a picture of a
organic bells
leaf
go off. Yeah, like the picture of a leaf or a farm, or I mean, the amount
or a
of
forest.
truly organic products that are on the market is just minuscule. And we're all
Yeah.
friends. All the people that are making organic products actually know each other because we have this common bond that we're like, this is what we're here to do. And even though the media seems to think this industry has exploded, it's actually pretty small.
No kidding. What are like the long-term measurable negative consequences of dumping all these chemicals into our water supply?
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. I mean,
Sure.
our water is toxic. Our
Yeah.
water supply is toxic, not only from the products we're using, but from the packaging that is holding the products. There's
The
we literally
plastic.
can't take a sip of water anymore without ingesting plastic. In fact, scientists are now saying every week we consume a credit card of plastic.
A week? Because I had
A
someone on
week.
the show a couple weeks ago who had said it was like a year. That's a
I
crazy
know.
visual to really think about.
It's nuts. It's
Yeah.
nuts. We contribute 23,000 jumbo jets of plastic a year into the ocean. And if you sit there and just
23,000
think about
jumbo
jumbo jets
jets
just crashing into the ocean that are made of plastic garbage, you would never get to the end. 23,000 jumbo jets of plastic
a year.
a year. And this all started in plastic didn't exist until I think 1928.
Isn't that
And
miraculous?
I remember growing up in the 80s that, ketchup and mustard used to come in glass, and you would, to get it
Yeah.
out. And all of a sudden, all these ads came out. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. It's now squeezable, and everything's squeezable and easy and blah, blah, blah. And the industry created what I call the blue bin lie. The petroleum industry said, oh, don't worry about the plastic. You just throw it in this blue bin and it turns into another product. But it was all lies. Only 7% of plastic ever gets recycled, and it can only be recycled twice.
Wow.
So
So if
inevitably, all of this plastic ends up in the garbage or in the
that's
ocean.
That's terrible. And you it makes you wonder, like, what are we being lied to about today if it's, it's taken so many years to figure this out.
No, I mean, we're being lied to about everything. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about plastic.
Yeah. No. We try to keep a positive attitude. So What did it look like for when you first started Pangea Organics to where we are today?
So for the first, 15 years, it was all about creating clean products.
Hmm.
And for the past couple of years, it's been about getting rid of the plastic. And so Alpine Provisions, which is a very new brand, which is under the Pangea umbrella, this week is going 100% plastic free.
Amazing.
It took 18 months to do this, and it has been an incredible journey of really understanding how big the plastic problem is.
Hmm.
And I've been on a plant-based diet for close to 25 years, and
Cheers.
it started because of animal welfare and animal rights.
Hmm.
And today, I say to people, I'm like, look, my understanding now is if it's not plastic free, I don't consider it vegan. I don't consider it cruelty free, because plastic is killing tens of millions of animals a year.
That's
And
interesting.
so even Pangea is not plastic free yet. It will be in about 6 months. So me as an animal rights activist, I cannot wake up in the morning and say that Pangea is cruelty free or vegan, because it's not. And now it's like my goal is to take all of our brands plastic free, and not by 2025 or 2030 or 2045 like a lot of these bigger brands are saying. It's this year. It's just got
I
to
love
stop. Like
this.
once I had the realization of how much destruction it's causing, I can't I can't keep continuing to produce what I know is wrong. And as an innovator and as a founder, my job is to be a steward for the fringe that predicts the future. And if I wake up in the morning and I truly believe in that, it has to happen right now. Because these brands that come out and say, oh, by 2030, like Coca-Cola, by 2030 we're going to cut plastic by 20%. Number one, it's a lie, because these big brands throw out these numbers of these future dates that no one ever remembers, and it never happens, right? I mean, and it's also like, as a consumer, how do you hold these multinational companies to the fire? You can't. Like,
You could not buy their product.
well, yeah. And that's what I always tell people. I was like, you know what?
It makes
At
a
the end
big
of the day,
difference.
consumers have the vote. Consumers have the vote. Consumers control how our world evolves. If you do
100%.
not believe in something, do not buy it, period. And those companies will cease to exist.
Yeah.
And I think the plastic thing is such a huge deal right now, because plastic is the one thing we're doing in our environment that's like, every time you use something in plastic and you throw it away, you cannot get that back. It's in the
Mm.
environment.
Yeah.
And so, it starts with our food. We have turned into a culture of faster, prepared, right now, need it, throw it in the oven. It, just like prime now. Everything's plastic, 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 because it's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster. And I think that we have to come to a place where we value the future of our planet, the future of our safety, the future of our water supply over faster, cheaper now.
It's really hard to get people to, I mean, the most beautiful thing in the world is delayed gratification. You who is an entrepreneur, you understand this. You had an idea and you've worked really hard to bring it to reality. I think it's really hard to get someone to be like, if you sacrifice today, we'll have amazing things 10 years from now. How can we communicate that to people? Because people won't even wait 10 minutes to get something. They want it right
Yep.
now. They want a
Right
text, they
now.
want a like. How can we communicate this vision to people that you're kind of throwing your future away for the present?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. And it's hard explaining to people because it's not in your face. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, if you want to see how bad the plastic problem is, all you
Pacific
have to do
garbage
is
patch.
well, you can't see it though, right? I
Is
mean,
it under the water?
you, well, I mean, how many people are going to be able to get in a boat and go out there and see it? Sure, if they went out there in a boat, they would see it. But I say to people, try to live in your house without throwing away your garbage for 1 month. And when I say not throwing away, I don't mean put it in the garage or in the basement. I mean actually leave it in your kitchen. Leave it in your kitchen for 1 month and you will see how massive the problem is. The problem is we
Powerful.
created this culture where we just put it in a bag and then we put it outside and then someone takes it away. And where does it go? I don't know. It goes in this big hole with these tractors and they bury it and da 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 da. Or even better, we have this idea that it gets recycled because recycled is such a beautiful word. It's actually a lie. Only aluminum and glass can be recycled. Everything else is downcycled, best case scenario. What's actually happening is 93% of plastic is ending up in our environment. 93%.
That is startling. And I wanted to touch on what you had said before, that you had said if something doesn't come if it comes in a plastic container, you wouldn't consider it vegan. So I've been eating plant-based for, I want to say, so 2016. So a little over 4 years or so now. And I'm
Nice.
really, thank you. Yeah, no, well, what I was also thinking is that 25 years, like talking about not buying Coca-Cola if you don't support the brand, like you have personally changed the world. But most people I know have 4 to 5 meals, and more than that, probably 10 to 15 meals of meat every single week. And 25 years of you not having five, whatever I said, 10 to 20 meals of meat a week, it totally changes the industry. It really does make a huge difference. I don't think people realize, it's like, oh, if I just stopped, even like the meatless Monday can make such a big difference. You know what I mean? Just,
Huge. Huge.
yeah, because a business needs to make profit, so they'll keep track of how much inventory is going out the door. So if less people eat it, they'll produce less. And I really think people should understand that. But what I wanted to ask you is, as someone who's very into exercise, I go to the gym 5 times a week, and I have this organic protein powder. I consume a lot of that every single week, and it comes in this big
Giant
plastic tub.
plastic tub.
Can I actually, I can see, can I go grab it real quick?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this brand.
Yeah. So they actually just changed the container. So here's the old container that they used.
Yeah.
I don't know if am I allowed to, like, yeah, I'm allowed to say whatever I want. Here's the old container, and like here's the new container. So and if I don't know if you can tell, people who are
It's a
listening,
little
you
bit
can't
smaller.
tell. It's a little bit smaller. And what they said was, it says same servings, smaller container, greater sustainability, less corrugated packaging, less plastic. I brought that up, and that's interesting. They just changed. It was just the last month they changed the size. But as someone who needs a lot of protein, what would you recommend I do, like, for getting this? Because I have thought about this, like I'm getting all these plastic tubs every single month.
Mhm.
What's a sustainable way for me to get this protein from a company like this? What's the other
Yeah,
option?
so I work out a lot as well, and I used to take protein powder. I don't anymore. I just basically came down to, you know what, if I spend the time to actually understand my diet
Mm-hmm.
and eliminate fillers, then I'm going to get all the protein I need. Like
Yeah.
I weigh 210 pounds. I'm 6'1", and I eat a lot. I love eating, and I exercise a lot. And over the years I have figured out the right combination of foods so that I don't need supplemental protein. That being said, I went into, like, I do take supplements, and I found that there are brands like Solgar which have plastic-free packaging. I don't think they did it intentionally. It was just the brand has been that way forever. They
Mm-hmm.
have a glass bottle with an aluminum cap. And
Cool.
so when I look at that, I was like, okay, so this brand's doing it. Every supplement company could be doing this. There's nothing in the way. And it's like when I look at things like tamari and toasted sesame seed oil, things that I like buying, like Udi's 369, like things that I consume, all they have to really do is remove, like, the little stupid plastic plug, the pour spout, the orifice reducer, and
Mm-hmm.
their product's plastic free. But it's gonna take consumers asking for it. I've been watching it happen in
Right.
the pasta world. It's like we have these boxes of pasta with a plastic window. It's just been the way pasta has been sold since like the 1980s. Why can't you just print the picture of the pasta on the box? So companies have now. Barilla is removing
Yeah.
all plastic windows by next year. Jovial removed their plastic window with a cellulose backyard compostable window. And that obviously came from consumers saying, hey, like, just get rid of the plastic. We love your product. Get rid of the plastic. We don't need it. It's not needed. You can do better. It doesn't really cost any more money, probably saves you money. But consumers have to ask brands to do this. And as a vegan, I am now like on the platform of saying to the vegan industry, hey, in 25 years, it is incredible the movement that has happened moving away from animal-based proteins. Now all of these vegan products that have built billion-dollar brands, $100 million brands, $10 million brands, $5 million brands, get out of the plastic. It's all packaged in plastic, all this vegan product. And
Hmm.
so it's not me pointing the finger, it's me saying like, hey, we've created an amazing industry. Now let's actually get rid of the plastic.
What are your thoughts on the faux meat and the lab grown meat and these substitutes for meat? I take it you're someone who probably just doesn't eat any of that stuff and eats plant-based food altogether. Am I right?
Yes, I mean, every once in a while, if I'm at a restaurant and they have
Right.
like a Beyond Burger on the menu and everyone
Why
else is
not?
eating, I'll eat it. But I have this thing called the vegan veto. And I say to my friends that own restaurants, you know, 15% of people that go to a restaurant want plant-based options. That's 1.5 out of 10 customers. So if you don't have really good plant-based options on your menu, you are failing as a business
And
because
it's an
it's
increasing
not,
percentage as well.
it's increasing, but you know, it used to be, oh, but you know, we can make anything vegan. That's not what we want to hear. We don't want to hear we can make anything vegan, because that to me is saying you don't give a shit about us.
Mm.
You are, you know, I have to be that person like, can you remove this? Can you remove that? I don't want to be that guy. What I want to go is to a restaurant and I want to support local restaurants and say, oh, they thought about me. They have tasty, healthy, well balanced vegan options on the menu. The vegan veto is this, and you have probably experienced this in the past 10 years or the last 4 years you've been vegan. Your friends want to go out to eat.
4 years, yeah.
4 years. They always, I bet $1 million, they ask you because you're the vegan where you want to go eat.
I hate
Because
it.
my
I
friends,
don't wanna get involved ever. I just want it to be done. I want them to just decide and not consider me at all. I hate it so much.
well, so for my friends, they know that I'm plant based. So they say, hey, where do you want to go eat? So guess what? I don't go to the restaurants that don't have vegan food. So that's the vegan veto. It's not
Mm.
just me now, it's me and my 4 friends, or me and my 6 friends, or me and my 1 friend.
Well, you're an
We're not going to those
influencer of your
restaurants.
friends.
I'm the influencer. And guess what? Of the tens of millions of vegans in this country,
Hmm.
there are hundreds of vegan vetoes every year. And so,
That's
as a
such a great
shout out
point.
to all the restaurants, if you do not have amazing vegan options on your menu, you are losing millions of customers, guaranteed.
That is my clip for this episode for sure. I like that. So let's transition a little bit to your company and how important it is of where you source your ingredients, because I understand there's a lot of conscientiousness that goes into that. How have you developed these relationships with local producers, and how does it work from kind of getting the ingredients in the door to like having the product come out?
Well, I never claim local ingredients because there's nothing local about our ingredients. It's impossible to source
Interesting.
ingredients locally for a skin and body care company. Anybody that's telling you that is just, it's kind of like the small batch handmade. There's no such
Yeah,
thing as, unless you're on Etsy and you're literally at home making stuff with your hands.
that's what my mom's doing.
Yeah, and which is amazing. But if you go to a store and you see a bottle with like a printed label and it says small batch, you know, handmade, it's like my bullshit meter goes off. Our products are made, you know, in a facility with vats and filling machines. And what we do is we
Cool.
make sure we're telling our customers every single ingredient that's in our products. We
Hmm.
make sure that none of our ingredients are known carcinogens. We make sure that we always source organic whenever possible. And the reason why is if you are not buying organic, It's really saying yes to highly toxic agricultural processes. And what I mean is, if it's not certified organic,
What does
then
that
those
mean?
that then certified organic,
Yeah.
it means that they're grown without synthetic petroleum-based fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides, and insecticides.
Is there
That's all
more
that
to it?
means.
That's all it means. Okay.
Right now, that's what organic certified means, and that it's being processed in a facility that's certified organic. But the most important part is, if you have never visited a farm that is not organic, go visit one. You walk into the field and you're literally standing on inches of fertilizer, nitrogen, synthetic, petroleum-based fertilizer. They have giant planes that come and dust the fields with pesticides and fungicides and herbicides. So do you want to feed that to your family? Do you want to give that to your child? Do you want to put that on your body in the shower? Fuck no. It's
Mm.
disgusting. It's like
Yeah.
mind-bogglingly disgusting
It's
what
new,
you
isn't
do to
it?
food.
Like it's
Well,
only the
it's,
last 50 years, right?
yeah, I mean, that's, it's new-ish, but that
What?
is how our food is made. If you want to get a firsthand experience of it, watch the new movie, the new documentary, Kiss the Earth, or Kiss the Ground, I think it's called. And you can really see, like, there are people in hazmat suits spraying pesticides on the food that we put in our bodies. So they have a hazmat suit on, protect them from the chemicals that they're spraying on our food. And so it's the same thing in my industry. It's like, I'm not going to buy something that is sprayed with toxins and wake up in the morning and sell it to people as a health product. Just not. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense for us, and it's even more horrible for the planet, because all of those pesticides, all of those herbicides, all of those fungicides and nitrogen-based fertilizers are ending up in our water. We are drinking them every day. You cannot drink a glass of water on Earth right now in any like populated area without ingesting pesticides and herbicides and fungicides.
How
That's
do I mean,
disgusting.
yeah. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about the skin and body care industry in general, like your perspective on it? Like how did it get to where it is today and how can we move it forward? Like you said, this year, like how can we make changes today? Because there's people are not, I wouldn't even say addicted. People need their products. They use it every single day. Some people have
Yep.
probably been using the same product that's bad for their skin for a
Yep.
decade or more. What can we
Yep.
do to change it and from where it is now?
Well, I always say there's products you need and there's products you want. So the products you need are basically like soap and
Yep.
toothpaste. Everything else is the product you want, right? So there are things that you need, which are soap and toothpaste, maybe shampoo, maybe you could say a body oil, lotion. Everything else is want. So like most people don't use eye cream and facial cleansers and face creams and masks and scrubs. So what I
Newbie over
explain to
here.
people is 90%, and this is someone who makes a living selling skincare, 90% of your skin health is what you put in your body. It is
Food.
not the products you put on your face. Yeah, it's what you eat. 90%. But we as a culture developed kind of this industry called the skincare industry that uses generally fear and guilt and like negative marketing to make you think that you need this eye cream or you're going to have wrinkles and da 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 da, all this stuff. It's 10% of what your skin looks like. 10%.
Where do you get that
What
figure
really,
from?
if well, it's science. What really is affecting your skin is negative attitude, stress, anxiety, inflammatory foods, sugar, salt, too much fat, smoking, stress. That's what's
Yeah.
affecting your skin. The topical stuff is amazing. And if you can get a healthy organic product that you put on your skin and it makes you feel good and it's loaded with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory ingredients, that's amazing. But the first thing you should be doing is eating an anti-inflammatory diet, is to meditate so you're not stressing all day, to remove negative thoughts from your mind, not smoking, not drinking too much. Then you'll get the glow. But everything else is superficial.
So you're talking about big, deep-seated changes in the lives of people to help them get what they want. But how can we, I mean, people are so set in their ways. How could you take someone, let's say, for example, some guy who's 50 years old has been working at a power plant for 40 years and tell him like what you want is just to get it by like meditating, like that guy's going to shoot you off like a hippie. How can we effectively communicate a more holistic lifestyle to people without sounding like the dumb hippie that your dad didn't like who lived down the street? You know what I'm saying? Like I agree
I think it
with
usually
you.
takes a life event. It usually takes a life event. Like somebody gets diagnosed with cancer,
We've just had
someone has
some
a
of
heart
these.
attack, like it takes a life event. And I've been meeting these people all my life that you would look at them and never expect they do yoga or meditate or eat a plant-based diet, but times are changing.
Yeah.
Times are changing, and people from all walks of life are having these epiphanies. And it's not coming from the same place that they used to come from. It's coming from there's a movement happening. Like the movie that just came out a year ago called Game Changers. That movie
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
specifically
it was great.
targeting bodybuilders,
Yeah.
dudes,
It
bros.
worked.
It worked,
Yeah. Did you watch the Rogan podcast where they argued through the whole thing?
No, just
Okay, fair
because
enough.
there's an argument for everything, right? I mean,
Always, yes, always.
I didn't even watch Game Changers. I was like, I don't
Okay.
need to watch Game
You
Changers.
heard about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I heard about it, and like all these dudes were coming up to me because they know I'm vegan. They're like, "Oh, like I watch Game Changers, and I'm vegan now." I'm like, "Cool,
Yeah.
awesome." Forget about it, like
Forget
it's
about it.
if you eat a well balanced plant based diet, and when I say well balanced, that's not to be taken lightly. Most people that go plant based are eating crappy food. They're eating lots of fake meats. They're carb loading. If you can move through that phase,
Yeah.
and the way I tell people to do this, 6 months, don't buy anything in a package. If you want to truly be plant-based, go 6 months on a packaging-free diet, and I guarantee you will not have any deficiencies because all you're eating are whole foods, whole grains, beans, seeds. The problem is you go to the
Yeah.
store, you're like, oh, I'm just going to buy this bag of bread, and I'm going to buy this fake chicken tenders and this like boxed pizza and tortilla chips and all this shit that you just grab it, open the bag and shove it in your face.
Yeah, yeah.
You're probably going to have an unbalanced diet, and you're going to be that guy who says, oh, I was plant-based for a year, but I had all these deficiencies and I just had to start eating meat.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you've probably heard it
Those
1,000 times. Oh, I was
yeah.
vegan for 6 years, but then this thing happened.
Yes, I
And
have
I'm
heard
like,
it.
well, that thing is generally, not all the time, an unbalanced diet.
Do you drink coffee?
Yeah, I'm drinking it right now.
I'm just curious. Yeah, I don't drink coffee. I think my diet, I don't know, maybe my energy, I just drink water and eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and I get plenty of sleep and I feel fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a taste guy, so I
Yeah.
actually don't need coffee for energy. I
Mm-hmm.
just like burnt, smoky things.
Fair enough. Right on,
Yeah.
man.
Scotch, mezcal, coffee.
What do you say to someone, including someone like me, who is so you've traveled through your entrepreneurial journey. You've obviously had some great success. Not even an entrepreneurial journey, just someone who's just doesn't have financial means to double their grocery budget by eating organic. I go to Sprouts. I look whatever says 99 cents. That's the fruit I get for the week. Like it, obviously you're telling me it has all these. I knew there was something going on. It has pesticides and all sorts of different chemicals. Like I had a raspberry. So I door knock and I went to this guy's house and he had a beautiful garden and we were talking about it. He's like, yeah, try some of those raspberries. It was like nothing I'd ever tasted in my life.
Yeah.
Something he grew in his back. It's like, it goes to show you, it's like, wow, it's really different at the store. But what would you say to someone who's just like, I can't justify going from, $50 a week to $100 a week. It's just not feasible for me
It's
right now.
very, very simple.
I'm listening.
If you don't buy packaged food, and when I say
Yes.
packaged food, I mean nothing in packaging. and you eat
I have.
or if you eat a vegan organic diet, not in packaging, you will spend less money than if you were eating a meat and packaged diet. And I did this.
I a
There's like a
hundred. It's a
YouTube.
hundred. I 100% agree.
It's so when you buy something in a package, as a consumer, this is very important to understand. If you buy, and a good way of really understanding the impact of this, and there's a video I did on YouTube probably 10 years ago where I take a camera crew into Whole Foods and I show people, if you go to the bulk section and
Mm-hmm.
you buy a pound of beans,
Yeah,
right? Organic beans.
that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you compare that to buying a can that's in a branded can that were cooked and put into some kind of liquid and then canned and shipped to the store, it's something like, I forget what the multiple is. It's like 18x the cost of bulk non-branded beans.
I
And
don't know
so
if
as a
it's.
consumer,
Yeah. I don't know
as a
if it's that much.
consumer,
Sorry.
it's a lot. It's a lot because you're not just paying for the cooking and the processing, you're paying for the branding. And that company has to pay for marketing, and they have to pay the store to sell their, to print coupons and get people to buy that one can, and the branding and the marketing. Whereas like bulk beans usually going from a farm to the bulk section. They're dried out, sold in giant bags. And so I think I figured out that a family of four on a no packaging organic vegan diet with tons of food, like massive amounts of food, will spend about $72 a week.
Hmm. It's like, I'm thinking, like, where am I going wrong here? Because I'll tell you right now, I eat rice, quinoa, sweet potato, broccoli, Italian squash, kale, and then fruit. But I don't buy organic because it's double the price. So I mean, I
Well,
guess
what
I'm a
else are you
rare.
buying? You got to be buying something else. You're buying the protein powder. That's like what,
The
30
protein
bucks?
powder is expensive. Sriracha sauce, I get that comes in a package.
Yeah.
Um, no, really not. It's not $72. It's like usually like 35 bucks, and then I get like what's it called, the nutritional yeast stuff as
Buy that.
well.
You could buy that in bulk.
I do buy that in bulk, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is like an outlier because what you're describing is very obvious. If you don't buy packaging and you eat meat all the time and you switch to an organic plant-based vegan diet, you will save money. There's no question, because
Yeah.
you're so right that you pay for the branding, and it was actually astounding to me to like start buying my own groceries, and then I did a year of buying my own groceries when I was eating meat, and then I transitioned. Oh wait, was I even eating meat then? I don't think. I know. I've actually never bought my own groceries when I was eating meat. Yeah, I never did that. But starting to pay attention to what I purchase and realizing that the healthier food is actually less expensive is like mind blowing. Like a bag of Lay's chips is like $3, but you can get like, what you can get like 8 apples for $3, and
Yeah.
it's just like a huge difference. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just like the stuff that we're marketing is like garbage, and I like see the way what people buy now, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that so many people are like falling for this stuff. It's just like colorful packaging. Mom used to buy it, and then they just keep buying it for their whole
Yeah.
life. And it's just
Yeah.
it's not. I wouldn't say as far as it's poisoning, but some of the products are
No,
like
it's
Lay's
definitely
chips.
poisoning.
Yeah,
It's definitely
I don't want
poison.
to be too polar on that, but some of
I
it's
mean,
it's
so
pretty
much of
bad.
things we consider to be food is not food.
Right. Right.
It's
I
just
think
not.
Lay's chips are a great example of that. They're
Yeah.
like shavings that are salted.
I mean, anytime you see some cottonseed oil, you should run the other way,
What is
because
that?
cottonseed oil is what most junk food, like conventional junk food, is fried in. And cottonseed oil has a cocktail of toxic chemicals in it, because cotton is grown for clothing and they pesticide the shit out of it. And so it's the cheapest oil you can buy, which is why when you go to buy potato chips or fried snacky things, almost always at the bottom it says cottonseed oil.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what do you think the role of business is in this fight against climate change versus a like more top down, or not even top down, just a more political legislative approach versus startup companies like you showing people how we're going to be different versus, laws coming in and changing the way we live?
I mean, I'm part libertarian, so I want to believe that the culture will eventually make better decisions for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's not happening at the speed in which we need it to. And,
Correct.
I just think that people need to become more educated on what they're buying and how they're buying it. And my job as a creator, as a founder, as an entrepreneur is just to create the better option.
Yeah.
So starting next week, when you go to the store in, over 1,000 retailers across the country, you're going to see Alpine Provisions, which is an organic cast steel soap in aluminum packaging in a sea of plastic
Mm-hmm.
products that are not that are not organic. And so as a consumer, you now have the decision what product you want to buy. As a founder, I did my job of creating a better option. And that's all I can do. That's my contribution is I am constantly striving to create the best option for the customer.
Yeah. Awesome. So we need these Instagram influencers to brainwash people into buying your products then, right?
Yeah, I mean it's
How are we if we need the change now, it's not happening enough. How can we do it? And I don't like the idea of like forcing people to do things, but this is, I don't know, like how do we
we need
get
1,000,000 Greta
adoption?
Thunbergs in the world because she
Well, they're
doesn't
coming.
accept money. Yeah, but she does. She's an outlier and she's a rarity, which she does not accept money to endorse anything. And I think that
Huh.
the influencer world, it's like they're making their living off of supporting products. And I would say the amount of influencers out there that are that have a hard and fast rule around what they will and will not promote is pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's their job. Like they're out there
Yeah.
to help move product. And I'm hoping that there is an ocean of new influencers that have super high morals. And it's the high road, and it's not the most profitable road of saying, yes, I will support brands. I get paid for advertising, but here are my boundaries. Like I'm
Yeah,
not going to support things that I don't believe in.
it's interesting you bring this up close to the end here because I don't know if you're aware. So I'm a realtor. 50% of my profits are donated to fight climate change. So right off the bat, I'm cutting like myself in half, which
Which is
I've
amazing.
thank you. I felt great about it. It's allowed me to have all this energy and believe in what I'm doing. But last week I kind of had this breakthrough, and I feel like this kind of limiting factor, this constraint that I've had on my mind for so many years, just finally just fizzled away. And I was just thinking critically about my business and where I want it to go and how I'm going to achieve my goal. And I realized so that 50% to climate change, that was obvious for me. I'm grappling with what to do with the other 50%. And I wanted to basically hoard it to myself and may become very wealthy very quickly. But then I realized that I've just been having so much fun every single day, just connecting with people and doing podcasts like this and becoming a better version of myself. I'm always like, I need to become financially free. I need to become financially free. I need to be able to do whatever I want with nobody ever to tell me what to do. But I just realized like I'm already doing that. So like
Yeah.
the pursuit of this uber wealth that has been conditioned upon Americans. You should have a Lamborghini. You should have a giant house. I didn't want a Lamborghini. I didn't want a giant house, but I still was holding on to this idea that I need to have millions of dollars like right now. And I just realized I don't. And like the whole world, I feel like has just opened up in front of me since then. And I can do whatever I want with my business. And now I'm actually leaning towards just reframing the company as a charity and just putting all the work in I'm doing now and just donating 100% of the profits and taking a reasonable salary. But I don't know. I just thought it's interesting you brought that up because, a lot of politicians obviously take a lot of money and influencers take money too. But this idea, these Gretas that you have, that you think that there's not a lot of them, I'm going to look for them, first off. And second off, I think there are a lot more people going down this way. Once you've released yourself from your conditioning is what I call it, and just really live true to yourself, I don't think money is going to be the main motivator moving forward. But who knows? Maybe I'm just kind of a crazy outlier guy.
No, I think a lot of what you're saying is correct. I think that the Gen Z that's coming up is looking at the world through a completely different lens.
I'm Gen Z.
You're Gen Z, yeah. So like the
Yeah.
idea of happiness has completely changed. I mean,
Yeah.
we're already seeing like experiences are valued way more than things with your generation,
Sure.
which has always been a drum that I've been beating. I'm like, go out and have experiences. Things are useless.
Yeah, you've traveled to many countries at this point.
59.
Yeah.
59 countries, and I have seen some of the most happy people in the world that have next to nothing.
That's what it is. Yeah.
They're just happy because they're doing what they want to do. They believe in what they want to believe. They don't have any guilt. They don't have any regrets. You don't need money to be happy. You need basic things taken care of. Obviously, you need food, you need healthcare, you need clothes, you need a roof over your head. But after a certain point, it's diminishing returns. It's like
right.
Happiness comes from how you live your life.
100%. How you see your life as well. If you're wake up every day and you're satisfied with what you're doing, I don't think anyone can come and take that away from you. If you know the actions you take consciously every day facilitate your own happiness and success the way you see it, it's just like you have control over yourself. And I think a lot of people
What is the
struggle
first
with that.
question you ask yourself when you wake up in the morning?
The first question I ask myself, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go, let's get it. Cause I'm like a crazy entrepreneur guy. I wash my face, I go over, I'd be like, how many, I wonder if I have any emails or something is what lately what's been. Yeah.
I ask myself, today, am I going to let the world affect me, or am I going to affect the world?
Clearly.
And,
I think we know the answer.
Well, sometimes I lose that battle.
It's hard.
You know?
It's a consistent fight.
But if I ask myself the question, and then it's in my hands to make that decision. And sometimes in the middle of the day, I'm like, I got defeated by the world. But tomorrow, that's not going to happen because I saw where I went wrong.
Learn.
And if you wake up in the morning and if you give yourself permission to make that decision, more often than not, you're going to live a life that affects the world around you. Hopefully it's in a positive way.
You've been positive for me today, man. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Yeah. Cool. I just wanted to touch on your quote before we go. If you want to just explain, the fringe predicts the future. I think it's been sprinkled in throughout this whole conversation, but what does that really mean?
What it means is you can look back to the beginning of recordable human history, and anything that was considered crazy or cutting edge or far left becomes the norm. Right. To me, like, and I'm not specifically talking about politics. I'm just talking about like our general view of the world. Like everything that seems so crazy and left and too liberal becomes so common later on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember like, I think it was like 1989, I pierced my ear, with 2 ice cubes and a pin in the bathroom. And back then it was like so crazy. Like people wouldn't hire me because I had an earring. They would tell me I had to take it off. And I'd be like, no, I'm not taking it off. I want an earring. Who cares? Girls wear earrings. I got an earring. And then nowadays, I mean, you would be hard pressed to find an employer who gives 2 shits if a guy has an earring or a nose ring. No kidding. And people are just constantly fighting change, right? It's a
natural instinct. It's about fear.
Yeah, it's about fear. And like the organic industry used to be this crazy granola hippie thing, and now it's everywhere, right? And you see it with everything. I mean, everything. You can't look in any direction and see something that is considered crazy leftist, blah, blah, blah. And flash forward 10, 5, 20 years from now, and it's just normal. It's normalized.
Yeah.
And so I feel like people spend their lives fighting change
Mm-hmm.
for the wrong reasons. And
You got to embrace it.
I want, yeah, I mean, it's okay to have ideals and concepts and morals around certain things, but so many things that we fight, it's just like a useless fight. Like the earring thing was, or long hair, you know, in the 60s, everyone started growing long hair and every, you know, it was like frowned upon. And I'm like, 200 years ago, the people that founded the country had long hair, but all of a sudden it's not okay. And like, you know, and now it's like what I've been watching recently is like older generations or even like younger generations fighting sexual identity. It's
Mm-hmm.
fear. I'm like, why do you give two shits how someone wants to identify themselves?
It's
It's
about when
their
it gets
life.
pushed on. It's about when it gets pushed on how you have to live your life is when the fight will come in, I would think.
But
Like telling
it
you how
doesn't,
to address someone, I think.
yeah, and it doesn't have to affect someone. It's just like it's my view is like this is your life, right? And
Mm,
as far as we know, you have one life. You should be
sure.
able to live it any way you want, as long as you are not destroying other people's lives.
That's an American way of looking at things, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know if it's an American way. It's like it's just like, hey,
It's freedom from
do
interference.
yeah, like live your life the way you want to live it. Just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. It's the
Don't be a
classic.
dick.
It's
Just don't
the
be a
golden
dick.
rule. The
Be
golden
nice.
rule.
Yeah.
Joshua said, just don't be a dickhead, guys.
Don't be a
It's simple.
dick.
It's not that hard. Well, Joshua, I mean, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate you giving me some time. It was a true pleasure.
My pleasure. It was great being here.
All right. And we'll talk again sometime in the future. All right,
All
man.
right.
Take it easy.
Take it easy, man.